Hey everybody, like now to support us. If you really want to see our channel grow, we are kind of funny sometimes. Anyway, if you make it to the end of this video, you should comment your favorite media outlet.
Think of it this way, right? You know nothing about China, really. You don't know what their neighborhoods look like. You don't know how their people dress normally. You don't know what their houses look like. But you make an app now. Now you can see what the neighborhoods look like. You can see what the normal people dress like.
If you feed your brain short form content all the time, then your body's going to want short preparation time for everything.
And I think the government shouldn't tell us what we can and cannot use.
Back in my head and says, get down on my knees.
To work in the field that we work in, we have to put all that and feelings to the side.
Die a little quieter, please.
There's too much blood. I mean, like, you might as well just give up.
These secret societies came out of, like the old mystery cult.
That'd be great.
Sir, you can leave. Fair.
I think that they are prepping for apocalypse.
What's up everybody? Welcome to season 2, episode 7. We're getting on up in there in season 2. I just wanted to recap what we talked about in the last episode. It was mainly about the Los Angeles incidents. There's so many losses in this incident. My name's Colby.
They did lose a lot. My name is Caleb.
My name's Steven.
And today we're going to be talking about the possible TikTok ban.
Yeah, the owners of TikTok are not the owners, but the company name is called ByteDance, B-Y-T-E Dance. And the U.S. government's talking about just doing away with TikTok completely. Trump had previously tried this.
He actually never tried it. He suggested it, but it was
not tried it, but like he suggested that we look into seeing if they were spying on us.
But it was like the Congress or whatever. Somebody in the government was actually trying to put a ban on TikTok, obviously, because here we are. But Trump never forced it. It was only a suggestion.
Well, he's actually suggested that he's also suggested that we
keep TikTok.
Keep it and trying to see what's going on with it.
Well, he might have wanted to investigate it, but after they went through that vigorous? Is that how you say it? Vigorous court session with the guy who is the CEO of TikTok, and he explained to them, he's like, no, the majority is owned by America. It's on American soil. It's not in China. It's not anywhere else.
But is that saying much? Because the majority of America is owned by China.
Yeah, if you think about it, everything that we buy was made in China. China was buying multiple farmlands in our country, which should not be a thing, considering that is technically buying property from us.
Technically, parts of America is China.
Yeah, think about it. China. And I believe that a lot of our social media apps anyway are selling our information to the Chinese government. That's my opinion. But they are doing something. They're not keeping our information private. Or
you can wear your tinfoil hat over there and be paranoid that everybody's after you.
Well, everybody is after me.
I mean, they are.
They don't care about us.
That's right.
Like us yet.
But they have
the
to
U.S. government is telling China that they need to sell us the app so that we can use it and make sure it's safe for the Americans to use. And China is basically telling them no, they're not going to do it, even though China has their own version of TikTok because they don't want the U.S. version for their people.
Which I find funny that they're telling China that they need to sell TikTok because it's not a Chinese guy who's the CEO. He said he's from
Well, China owns about 20%.
Yeah, they own
TikTok.
20%. But the guy who's over it all is not from China. His wife is an American citizen from America, and he's from another country out of Asia, but it's not China. I can't remember where he said he was from. But I know I did hear about the Chinese app version because a lot of TikTokers were talking about going to that app, and one made a joke saying, "So basically, we're banning TikTok to prevent Chinese spies from spying on us when they weren't, is what the TikTokers were saying. I'm not saying they weren't. And inevitably, they created the monster they were worried about. People are going to a Chinese app ran by the Chinese government because they're getting rid of TikTok. So they're creating the monster that they were afraid of instead of just leaving TikTok alone and probably doing a deeper investigation.
Well, let me back all the way up. Way back to what Stephen was saying about how China has their own version of TikTok. Same thing happens with like a lot of apps. Like I believe it's Bangladesh. It might be like Dubai or something. But they have their own version of YouTube. And a lot of other Asian countries, I think, like have their own version of Netflix or whatever. That doesn't mean that YouTube doesn't own all the different versions of YouTube. Like they still own the YouTube in Bangladesh or wherever, just as much as they own the YouTube in the United States. It's just different platforms. My guess is probably like a server thing or something about memory.
Well, there's
or stuff
also
like
different
that.
world views. Like here in the United States, people have guns and not a lot of people care about it and stuff like that. But in, say, Australia,
Other countries, it's like
it's not common to have a gun. In fact, most people don't because it's illegal.
And then there is a lot of countries where they don't have as many rights as we think we do.
Yeah.
And so they would prefer the stuff that we post not be seen over there. For like this video, for example, could change someone's opinion and cause a rebellion or whatever. So, I mean, I understand that, but what I'm saying is like YouTube still owns all the YouTubes.
Yeah, they just, different versions are for different people.
To me, it sounds like what you're kind of saying is, let's use McDonald's, I guess, for an example. McDonald's owns all the McDonald's, but they all have their own owners, or even AT&T. Because when we went to AT&T stores, they're like, this service, you can only receive this service from the AT&T store, and I'm like, but this is an AT&T store. They're like, no, this isn't a part of the group of the AT&T. This is an individual owner of an AT&T store. And I'm like, make that make sense. And
okay, but like, say you upset AT&T in one store and you go to the other store, even though the owners are different, like of the store themselves,
yeah,
you still are in trouble with AT&T, period.
yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that, like, if TikTok, hypothetically, because I don't know, none of us really know, we're all just like saying what we think. And what I think is that if China was using TikTok to spy, even though America has their own version of TikTok, they could still use that to spy because they still own 20% of it. But like, and a lot of people are like, why would China do that? Like, why would they want to spy on us? So, like, you're not doing anything really that important to them. They don't care about you dancing in the bathroom or whatever. But the thing is why would Putin care about taking over Ukraine? Because to us, if we were Putin, I mean, Russia's like one of the biggest friggin' countries in the world.
But think of it this way. Think of it this way, right? You know nothing about China, really. You don't know what their neighborhoods look like. You don't know how their people dress normally. You don't know what their houses look like, but you make an app now. Now you can see what the neighborhoods look like. You can see what the normal people dress like.
Exactly.
You know where people dress. You know what
and that's how people are thinking they're watching them.
Their daily routines are, their health. When you go to exercise and these devices tell you your heart rate, what your health is like, they give you a plan. They know how you function on a daily life.
Well, I mean, China owns like the majority of America. They own the companies that make the United States military,
buy the vehicle companies too,
like tanks, planes, jets, and stuff like that. The companies that make that is owned by, I want to say, China.
And we send all of our companies out of country, made by other countries. I mean, all of our supplies or whatever product.
A lot of our stuff is made by China.
It's made out of country now.
But like, what a lot of people that use TikTok are in favor of TikTok are saying, like, why would they care? Like, because if it was me and I was in charge of China, I wouldn't care. I don't care what you do. But I'm not in charge of China. If I was in charge of Russia, I got the biggest country. I don't care about Ukraine. But I'm not in charge of Russia.
Well, the thing is, the government's worried about, quote unquote, them basically spying or stealing our data or our information. But if you think about it, I don't have like proof of this. So we're gonna call it what's the word?
Conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy that these other social media apps are selling our information to the highest bidder. But TikTok, I don't know if they do that or not. I've been told they don't, but I've been told a lot of things in life that I've been lied to about.
Everybody does.
But what it helps the people is, in my opinion, I know you probably have different views. There's a lot of things that happen on TikTok that they don't put on the news and that we see on TikTok, like the Louisiana wildfires. I was in Arkansas at work. And I didn't know that Louisiana was on fire. My home state, I did not know it was on fire. Much so, the town that we're from, burnt to a crisp. Didn't know about it until I went on TikTok and I saw people from that town showing videos of their trailer houses being engulfed by fires.
Yeah.
And it did not reach the news like till 2 weeks later. It was on the news.
And I've heard that argument too, but the argument is that in TikTok you see a lot of how to do this or how to do that, or conspiracy theories, or the government secretly doing this and the government can't control it because they can't control TikTok and that's why they want to shut it down. I've heard that argument too, and that's understandable. But you got other apps like X now, for example, and he's even more unfiltered. You could put stuff on X that would get taken down on TikTok in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
That's because who owns it now? Before, it would get
Twitter
taken down or you'd get kicked off. The guy who bought it got kicked off. Was it him or was it Trump? One of them got, or both, got kicked off.
Trump got kicked off. Trump got kicked off everything. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, there's such a high influx of people using TikTok that's why there's so much information being spread so fast on there. But say everybody collectively stopped using TikTok and replaced all of that with YouTube or with Instagram, then the most fastest information spread of knowledge or whatever that you're going to get is on YouTube or Instagram.
I believe YouTube, you might be right, but Instagram, I would never believe that it would get spread through there because it's also partnered with Facebook, and Facebook fact checks and cuts everything. So I will agree with you on the YouTube aspect, but on the Facebook, Instagram, no. Anything like stuff that we post about this or about anything in the past, anything that you posted that didn't align with a certain thing, I'm going to say, it either got fact checked, censored, or you got banned from Facebook for a week or a month.
So here's my question now. Since they're trying to say the U.S. would buy it, who in the U.S. would want to buy it?
So I saw a TikTok, which is funny. We're talking about TikTok, and then I'm going to let Caleb continue doing whatever.
Something happened. What happened?
Stop videoing. I don't know why.
Is it got full storage?
I don't know.
Well, if it's videoing again.
If I hear it turn off, I'll stop again. It don't matter. I got two other cameras.
Anyway, starting again. So I saw on TikTok, which is funny, we're talking about TikTok, that the older bald guy from the Sharks show said that they're in talks with the company, and if they're willing to sell it, then he's going to be one of the ones that wants to buy it.
Yeah. Let's stop again.
I don't
That's
know how,
couch, she says too.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know him as a person. I don't know anything about him.
They're all about making money.
Honestly, my thing is I don't like TikTok, period. I don't care who owns it. I don't like it. Because the short form content on there, which I know that I'm saying all this, and we make short form content, and that's for people to enjoy and all, and it attracts people to our long form content, and people need enjoyment. But like, I feel like people on YouTube, and this can be backed up by the analytics app that all the creators have and all this, don't sit down and watch shorts on YouTube in the extent that they do on TikTok. Because I know people that will sit on TikTok 24 hours a day and not do anything but watch short form content on TikTok. And what that does is, number one, now you're not doing anything productive. Number two, you are shortening your attention span. So now everybody's ADD and ADHD because they can't focus on anything for too long.
They want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
That little boost of serotonin.
And there's
That way
things,
they can watch a short little video and go, oh, that was great. Let me see the next one.
and there's things in life that takes time, and with that short gratification, you're not going to be patient enough to achieve the things that take time.
And the way our brains work as human beings is what you feed your brain is how your body's going to react. If you feed your brain short form content all the time, then your body's going to want short preparation time for everything. Like drive-throughs or microwavable meals or
Drive-through
stuff like
daiquiris.
that. And then it could even affect people's relationship life. Like, oh, this was fun while it lasted all of 2 days.
I love you in one day.
Yeah. But that reminds me of something that I saw the other day, which is the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. The anterior mid-cingulate cortex, you can look it up. It's a part of your brain that has to do with your will to live.
Yeah.
And something about it is whenever you do things that you don't like, it grows. So like, say you're laying in bed, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go work out, but you get up and go work out anyway, it grows. And your will to live grows. And the same thing happens, or like the opposite thing happens if you do stuff that you do like.
So if you hit yourself in the hand with a hammer over and over, your will to live will grow?
No.
That's not anything to do with
not
that.
the
That
same
has
thing.
more of being
So you're saying more,
pain tolerant,
training
your body to
doing
take
stuff
pain.
that you should like to do, but don't necessarily like to do.
Because you're lazy.
Yeah.
in layman's term,
That
lazy.
makes it better.
Yeah. So like, say,
Working out is a different thing. That boosts different types of.
well, no, it actually does also increase. That was just an example though. So like, say you've been working all day yesterday, or you work a 24 or 48 hour shift or a 72 hour shift, and you go home and all you want to do is lay in bed. You want to take a hot shower and you want to go get back in bed. And then you want to scroll on TikTok for 8 hours, short form content. And then at the end of the day, you feel bad.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm guilty of doing that a few days. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, if you come home and you don't sleep in, you get up out of bed, you take a cold shower, and then you go and do your chores for the day. Then you go into town and pay your bills for the day, or you start a side business and you do that, or you go work out, or you do all these things that your brain's like, I don't feel like doing this. I just got off a 72-hour shift, but you do it anyway. That's kind of like,
You feel productive at the end of the day, and you feel a sense of rejuvenation, I guess you could say. Because I've also experienced that too.
Yeah.
I felt successful and happy with my life.
whenever you do stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and whenever I sit and scroll on TikTok, as much as I'm learning from TikTok, whether it's correct or incorrect information, I'm getting stuff that the news don't put out there. But scrolling through it for hours like that and not being productive, I felt like bad. But like what you said, whenever, like today, I didn't want to get out of bed. This goofball over here called me, had me get up.
I get up early.
No, he called.
I get up early all the time.
And it's like, hey, man, we got stuff we got to do. I don't want to get out of bed. And right now, I feel productive. I'm feeling successful.
Steven's like, you heard from Colby? He's like, nah, he's probably asleep. Steven calls and he talks and then he gets off his phone. He's like, so I just talked to Colby. I was like, he was asleep, huh? He's like, yeah.
It's the first day in the last 2 months or maybe even 3 that I've got to sleep in to 9 o'clock. I felt so successful.
My body doesn't let me sleep in. At 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm up.
Yeah, I just don't
And
do
it's
it.
like, well, let's start the day.
Because I hate feeling unproductive. I can't just sit there and not
I hate
do
feeling
anything.
unproductive, but at the same time, the last 3 months I've gotten up at 3 a.m. to go to work, or I've gotten up during the nights at work, or I've gotten up at 6:30 to go to work. And I needed to catch up on sleep, to be honest, for health reasons. But today it was more of, I just didn't want to get out of bed, as it wasn't to catch up on sleep. So it's good that I got out of bed.
Yeah, this is off topic real quick, but that video that I saw, the dude talking about the Mid-Cingulate Cortex, whatever, was saying that's why, like, people, if you've seen in shows like My 600-Pound Life and 1,000-Pound Sisters and all, they feel less inclined to live.
They don't do anything.
Yeah, because they don't get up and do stuff that they don't want to do, like they don't want to work out, they don't want to get up and go anywhere. They
Just
don't want
funny.
to do
Dr.
anything.
Now even tells them they can lift weights in their bed.
Yeah, and then
They like, I can't do it.
they're like, but I want to eat unhealthy things, and then
I watch my
So-
600-pound life all the time.
Yeah,
and
they wear a lot
It's
of
like
shorts.
watching a football game to me. I get up, I start screaming at the TV. I start it's like I'm watching a football game because the things they say to do.
out of bed.
And the family enables them. Like other things enable other things that we'll talk on a different podcast.
Bro,
But
I thought you was clicking that to say that we were at 30 minutes. It's only been 20 minutes.
no.
That's crazy.
But
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So the new app that people are moving away from TikTok to go to is I think it's called Red Note. And
Kind of sus.
a little sus.
well, the crazy thing is the TikTok is owned 20% by the Chinese government or whatever, and they're like, oh no, they're gonna take all of our stuff. But Red Note is majority owned by the Chinese government, and
And
everybody's moving to
a
that.
lot of
It's like,
TikTokers are going to it,
But what? Okay,
which
so
is what I talked about like
what if?
5 minutes ago.
so what I'm saying is, if TikTok's getting banned, that's definitely gonna get banned.
Yeah.
I saw somebody say TikTok. If you can't you won't be able to download the app again if they ban it. And if you have it on your phone, it'll still be like usable, but it's going to slowly die off. Like there won't be any updates, and eventually the servers will crash and fail. Kind of like if you play video games, kind of like the older generation systems where you can still play on the servers until they like just don't support it anymore, and eventually it fails.
I had a phone where I had Flappy Bird,
Oh, I remember Flappy Bird.
and then the owner got so much hate off of it, he pretty much just discontinued the game. But I still had it on one of my old phones, and I was like, I can still play Flappy Bird.
I think y'all are gonna love this. The percentages of like who owns TikTok. So it's not that percentages of people on TikTok, it's percentages of people on ByteDance or BitDance or whatever. ByteDance.
ByteDance.
So you got the founder, Song Yiming, anyway, around 20% of ByteDance is owned by its employees, including nearly 7,000 Americans. So kind of like that one ambulance company. That's an ESOP employee.
Yeah.
So
It's owned by its employees. They invest into it.
they invest into it, but that don't mean that they can just like tell everybody what to do with the company.
No, the CEOs do.
Exactly. So who really we're using owns the company, saying the owner can do what they want, but the owners can't do what they want. Who's in charge of the company?
The
Where are they
real
from?
owners.
Exactly. And then you got global investors, including, and I thought this was kind of interesting, BlackRock. So I don't know much about BlackRock, but I remember seeing a video. They had an advertisement, and guess who was in that video?
Who?
The kid who attempted the assassination on Trump.
Oh, wow. I remember seeing something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's why we should get rid of it.
Interesting. So are we still trusting the owners of ByteDance? And then the Chinese state-owned China Internet Investment Fund owns a 1% stake in ByteDance's main Chinese subsidiary. Basically, China owns it. And just because people live in America and own it, if I move to China, that makes me a resident of China.
Not right away. Yeah.
But if I do whatever is required of me and I become a resident of China, but I still bleed
you
red,
don't-
white, and blue,
But you don't become a citizen.
and
You're
say,
just a resident.
and this isn't, this is a hypothetical situation, and say the United States was trying to do something to China, and I took part in that, even though I'm a Chinese resident. I mean, it
Then
might
you'd be
be
considered what, an American spy and a terrorist to Chinese?
exactly, but they don't know that.
Yeah. So
All they know is I own
the
ByteDance.
thing with that, I think that gets a little grayish is if you become a resident, I don't really think you're an American. There's a lot of actors and actresses that live in this country that are still Australian or European.
Canadian.
They just live here.
They're
Yeah,
Australian American.
Yeah. But if you become a citizen, you are agreeing to adapt to our way of life and to become someone like us.
But if you were a spy, wouldn't you sign those papers and do those things? I'm not saying that this is what this is. I'm not saying that China is using TikTok to spy on
it's
us.
just
But I'm playing devil's advocate because a lot of people aren't thinking outside the box.
well, I mean, the only thing about that, it's really hard to determine or even do like talk. I don't even know how to answer that, but like in World War II, was it World War II where people came up? He's a World War II buff, where people came and worked in or fought in our military. They put all Japanese civilians into like a camp
Yeah, because they didn't trust them.
Because they didn't
Japanese
trust
and
them.
Italian.
and Italian.
Some of those camps are here, not
So-
too far from us.
Yes, actually, Stephen and I went. Stephen and I went to
You
one.
okay over there, bud?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see later. Stephen and I went to one of these camps, and I'm going to put some videos in there of us exploring. Right there. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, you already got those.
Yeah, I already got it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Anyway, one of them was called Camp Livingston, and we went out there all the time. There's still like 2 active parts on it.
So Camp Livingston was originally, obviously, a training camp for the military personnel. And I have a book that talks about the history of Central Louisiana, and it also covers Camp Livingston because Camp Livingston was a huge part of Central Louisiana.
Look how excited he got.
I know, dude. I'm
He's
a
a
history
history
nut.
buff of World
So,
War II.
like, whenever they sent the soldiers over for the invasions on D-Day, afterwards they had this huge city, Camp Livingston, that was formerly for training soldiers. And now it's a prison camp, or not prison, like a concentration camp.
But not the same as the Germans.
Well,
version
Germans
of her
had
concentration
Well,
camps.
they had 2 different types of camps. They had concentration camps, which is where they just kept the Jews at a high concentration camp.
Yeah.
And then they also had death camps, and that's where they actually.
I got you. But
Did horrible.
you can't
things.
really, it's hard to determine, it's really hard to determine if someone is a spy. You can have your speculations on where they come from and what they did before, but it's really hard to tell if someone's in this country because they want to benefit from this country or if they want to hurt this country. And the thing is about hurting this country, it doesn't have to be someone from another country. It could be someone who's from this country and just gets mad at the way things are and don't get what they want in life. And so they just help out the other country. So that's why we have our terrorists who are foreign and domestic.
So it all boils down to, should we keep TikTok or should we not keep TikTok? What do you think, Caleb?
I think has nothing to do with who's spying on us and what country owns it. I think it is deteriorating the minds and souls and physical bodies of our youth. So I think we should get rid of that.
What about you, Colby?
Well, I don't really have an opinion on it. I use it when I'm at work because when I go to post, I'm on the side of a road inside of a truck and I need something to do.
Excuses.
I know it's excuses.
Do something
But
beneficial
I
with
can
your
watch
life.
these same videos on YouTube. So
Do something beneficial with your life.
I'm
Like, look up
I'm
business
waiting for
things.
someone to have a bad day on the side of the road. I am being beneficial.
Yeah, but you can do other things. Like while I'm waiting on people to have a bad day at a station. I'm looking up better ways to improve our podcast and watching other people's podcasts.
Well,
I'm also
so
looking
you're
up.
against it,
Yeah.
and you don't care really.
He's neutral.
I'm Switzerland.
And I think the government shouldn't tell us what we can and cannot use. And a lot of people say this is getting into our freedom of speech and everything, but not really. This is not really anything to do with that. Yes, it does have to do with us speaking our mind on a global platform, but that's not why they're trying to get rid of it. They're not trying to get rid of it because of us saying, well, maybe. It might be because we're saying crazy stuff on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's entertainment.
In the long run, it doesn't affect me one way or the other.
No.
So
I'm not.
I don't really
I'm not
care if
going to
they get
go
rid
in
of it.
life. I'm not going to use this as a class. Go in life and say I'm smart because I watched this TikTok. No.
Have you seen, what's it, Second Kingsman? Right? Or
I've seen
even,
all of them.
even the first Kingsman, where they get like the chips or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, why'd you get that chip? And they're like, because the chip's so great. It does this, this, and this. And you're like, so,
Yeah.
like, I'm okay with everybody else getting the chip because I don't have the chip. And, now I can do things that people with the chip can't. Except for whenever
At the
my
end of the
friends
movie.
and family get the chip. Now I got to worry about people with the chip,
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, we find out there was something actually wrong with the chip. And I feel like the same thing can be said for TikTok. Like, whether it's spying for whatever country or it's negatively affecting their mental health or whatever, that doesn't affect me, like you said, until it does. Because my family and friends are on that too.
Yeah.
And you go to family functions in other cities or states or whatever, and you go to visit with your family, but you can't because they're all on TikTok.
Our Facebook, our YouTube. There's other apps for people to use.
Yeah, but I've never went to a family function where everybody was not talking to each other because they're on Facebook. But I've sat down in a room where you were supposed to be visiting with people, and they were all scrolling through TikTok.
Well, I don't know about everybody else's house, but at my house, when I'm at home, because I'm gone pretty frequently for work, we all sit down at the dinner table to have dinner. It's no TV, no phones.
Yeah.
If you don't want to talk, you're just going to sit there, but we sit down as a family to have dinner.
Well, I'm not going to talk on this long, but I also believe, like, if you sit down at a dinner table and you're having discussion with your family, if you don't want to talk, we all need that time of the day to have just a sense of peace and quiet, because in my personal opinion, whenever the noise is dying down, that's when God tries to talk to us, because we can't hear him if the noise is constantly blocking him out.
Yeah.
So
And something I started doing was on my way to work, since I have not as long a drive as you, but I'll listen to like two chapters on the trip there, 2 chapters of the Bible, because I have an app that like plays it and I can listen to it. 2 chapters of the Bible before I even start listening to the podcast or the videos on how to podcast better, or videos about how to manage your money, or I just listen to music or whatever it is. But I always start listening to that. So,
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to watch our shorts.
wash your shorts.
Wash your
our
sister.
shorts and breathe through your nose.
We wash your shorts.
watch your sister. Also, please send us some videos of you saying hi. That sounds really weird. It's only because we want you to be on our podcast and invest in our podcast. That way, now you're not only watching the podcast, you're a part of the podcast. Be
Yeah.
a part of the podcast. Be
Yeah.
a part of it.
Be a part of it. And if you've made it this far, we'd like to hear what your favorite social media outlet is and what you use on a daily basis.
TikTok.
Uh,
Not anymore.
I'm going to get so many hate comments on this. I want to make a bunch of shorts and then just make me look like the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy. Yeah, don't like, comment, subscribe.
I love you.